Now, I'm going to get as visceral again if I can, because I just want to relive those days back in the 70s for a moment. I'm going to ask you two questions, and I want you to answer each passionately, loudly, insistently. The first question is, what do we want? And you're all to yell biodiversity. Let's have a practice. What do we want?
Biodiversity!
Nice! The second question is, when do we want it? And the answer is?
Now!
Okay, a few demo goers here. It's good to see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what do we want?
Biodiversity!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Biodiversity!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Biodiversity!
When do we want it?
Now!
Let's storm Parliament! What do we want?
Biodiversity!
When do we want it?
Now!
Can the marshals please grab the banners? What do we want?
Biodiversity!
When do we want it?
Now!
Can the fundraising committee grab the buckets and collect some money? What do we want?
Biodiversity!
When do we want it? Oh, puffed out again, breathe in. Breathe out. And in and out. Remember to keep doing that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, dead on time, excellent. Those were the days, hey? Those were the days, hey? Deputy Prime Minister Jim Cairns, nude at Nimbin, being sprayed off our own docks by US nuclear warship water cannons, laying in a dead blockade on Swanston Street each Hiroshima Day. It was all based on huge big stories and big campaigns. And over the decades there have been a lot of campaigns and many, many powerful victories. Huge justice triumphs, like Nelson walking out of jail. The nuclear weapons treaties of the 80s. And, oh so very, very dear to all the hearts in this room, the magnificent Franklin and Lower Gordon Rivers campaign. On you, Karen. Ladies and gentlemen, we have worked hard, but have we saved the world yet? Are we there yet? Or is there work to do? Hands up if you think there may be one or two more things to be ticked off. I'm calling that unanimous. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, 'tis here methinks that the role of micro-stories kicks in. Peer-on-peer stories, people's stories, conversations and chat at the bus stop have enormous power. Not too long after laying dead in Birch Street, I found myself a student of sociology at La Trobe University. Thanks, Goff. Out there at Bandura, I discovered a news story by French sociologist Hélène Touraine, whose work is based on what he calls the sociology of action. Hélène coined the term post-industrial society, and I guess by default, postmodernism. The gist of Touraine's sociology of action is the self-production of society. And it's also the title of his seminal book, published in 1977. Just going to go for some water. I've been drinking water all my life, and it helps. His book. Touraine asserts that the stakes have become so high on this planet, the disparities so wide, the complexities so mind-boggling, that no ism like capital, Marx, or fascism has the solutions. No parliament, no Taoiseach, no president, prime minister, or dearly beloved great leader is able to deal. Touraine argues that change emerges both through the traditional structural mechanism, thanks Goff, and also, and this is pertinent, perhaps more strongly through the constant crafting and recrafting of itself by society. He was watching and writing during the epoch which included the Prague Spring, the French May 1969 protests and Paris student movement, the anti-Vietnam War days and the Summer of Love, a time when the world was in a state of great flux. Flux, which must be said carefully after talking about the Summer of Love. Touraine created a term, historicity, if I can burden you with some jargon. The meaning of it is that society has a consciousness of itself and a capability to take action upon itself. Society shapes its future through social struggles or its social and environmental movements, large and small. Culture, values, expectations, norms and taboos are constantly being revised and rewritten, and this week Egypt does spring to mind. The power of social movement stories, or what I call the asymmetrical power of people power, Egypt springs to mind again, was echoed by the 1992 Rio Earth Summit, which coined the term capacity building, which these days is pretty much a weasel word, but when they coined it, was defined as working together with community to mutually develop skills, knowledge and inspiration, and providing resources, important word, to enable communities to create their own solutions, to both present and future challenges. And I love this quote from celebrated American civil rights hero Malcolm X, who said, "I, for one, believe that if you give people a thorough understanding of what confronts them and the basic causes that produce it, they'll create their own program. And when the people create a program, you get action." In my own activist experience, mostly local, I observed a cycle, which was there would be an issue, big issue. People would come together, fight, win or lose. Either way, after the fight, people would dissipate or have been burned out. And the challenge, I think, is to enable those groups and their energy, their intelligence and their love to get up, stand up and stick together. So, what else could I do but turn to Marxism, Leninism? I found my revolutionary calling. Environmental education, liberally dipped, greensly dipped in humour, art, aesthetics, beauty, song, story, the intangibles of this life. The soft stuff which the bureaucrats who assess our work for funding so despise. The intangibles, stuff like beauty, truth, friendship, community spirit. You can't touch them, you can't measure them, but you know they are real with a capital R. So Groucho and Jono eventually morphed into a bit of Sustainability Street jargon. Purposeful informality, human scale organising, which is doable, makes the organising doable, and it's enjoyable. So, okay, seriously, time at last for that trip down Sustainability Street. And ladies and gentlemen, over the years we've learned that there are two powerful levels of story hidden in the Sustainability Street approach, micro stories and macro stories yet again. The micro stories are the conversations people have with each other on the footpath, the new brand of footpath transaction, if you like, the new conservation conversation. The macro story is that each Sustainability Street village becomes a living story, becomes a beacon, a story of us good old everyday local folks living in a different way and modelling it, in effect, to others in the other street, down the road, next suburb or town. So ladies and gentlemen, the village of a Sustainability Street has been described as about how far you would care to walk far you would care to walk to sit down and discuss your worms. There are a couple of other definitions. Who's got worms? I thought you were shifting around in your seat. There are a couple of other definitions, but we'll go to slide 8. There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, the Sustainability Street approach seeks to build the absolute link between our lives and the great natural systems, be they habitats or climate or oceans. And ladies and gentlemen, as it says there, Peter Dombrovskis, it was he who said that folks think that when you go out into the bush, you're getting away from it all. In fact, you're coming back to it all. Coming back to all that is meaningful, coming back to what is human. For a few moments, I'm going to ask you to turn around and speak to the members of community who you met a moment ago and share with them, got 30 seconds, share with them the most magnificent thing you've ever experienced or seen in nature, your most wonderful time out there in the bush, or maybe it was in the backyard, or maybe it was staring up into the sky, who knows. Okay, but turn around, 2 or 3 people in a cluster, quickly, come on, do it. Keep it moving, we haven't got all day, we've got to get back to the real world.